Apple just released iOS 12.2 for the iPhone and iPad. There are plenty of great reasons to install this update, but there are a few reasons, 4 specifically, that you should hold off on installing this update. I'm going to walk you through the reasons to install iOS 12.2 and the reasons not to install iOS 12.2. If you want to read about this, you can go to Google and you can search for should I install iOS 12.2, gotta be mobile, and that'll take you right to it. But keep on watching and I'll walk through each of the important reasons right here. Are you upgrading your AirPods? If you're getting AirPods 2, they require iOS 12.2. So if you have an old pair like this, you don't need to update. But if you're tossing this and grabbing AirPods 2 as soon as they arrive at your doorstep this week, install iOS 12.2 right now so that you're ready for them. One of the biggest reasons to install is for Apple News, or specifically for Apple News Plus. This is the new subscription service from Apple that's $9.99 a month. You get access to over 300 magazines. You get the LA Times, the Wall Street Journal, and that's all $9.99 a month. But if you want to use News Plus across your devices, you're going to need iOS 12.2 on your iPhone and iPad. You're going to need to install a macOS update on your computer. If that looks like something you want to do and you want to take advantage of the 1-month free trial, go ahead and install iOS 12.2 right now so that you can get started. Do you like using Animoji? There's 4 new Animoji in iOS 12.2. This is for the iPhone 10, iPhone XS, and for the iPad Pros with the new TrueDepth sensor on the front. Another really important feature and another reason to upgrade to iOS 12.2 is if you use screen time. Apple's delivered 2 improvements that are very important. The first is an app limit toggle, so it's much easier to quickly turn app limits on and off. If you're a parent and you need to give your kid access, or even if you're just trying to tone down your own app usage, this is very important and it's going to be really helpful. The other really handy feature is you can now configure downtime to be different for each day of the week, which is perfect for real-world people who have schedules that differ from day to day. The big news was Apple Card, an Apple credit card with cash back, but if you use Apple Pay or Apple Cash, you're going to want to install iOS 12.2, and that's for 2 reasons. Now, the first is if you have Apple Pay Cash, you're going to be able to instantly transfer money to your bank if you have a Visa debit card. That's super handy, a great way to bring cash from your phone into your banking account. Now, the other option that's really handy is when you look at your credit and debit cards, it's going to use information and show you where your recent transactions were actually from. So it's a good, quick way to see where you're spending your money. One of the biggest reasons to upgrade to iOS 12.2 is if you use AirPlay, because now you're going to have controls right on your phone screen and even from your lock screen to control your AirPlay content, even if it's not at the foreground of your phone. Another important reason to install iOS 12.2 on your iPhone and iPad is increased security. There are lots of small security fixes for Safari, for iOS apps, and for iOS in general, and that's a major reason that you should install this update. Are you running into problems on iOS 12.1.4 or earlier? That's a good reason to install iOS 12.2. In addition to the security fixes, we have a lot of bug fixes, and in general, upgrading sometimes can fix lingering problems that have been stuck on your iPhone for quite a while. In the first day of use, I haven't noticed the same landscape issues where my phone was getting stuck in landscape. Hopefully that continues because it's a pretty annoying bug. There are a couple other reasons to install iOS 12.2 that we're kind of going to group together. These are quality of life improvements. You're going to get air quality indicators in new countries. You can check in settings and see how much warranty period is left on your device. There's also now support for real-time text if you're using an iPhone or iPad that's nearby. And while maybe not a quality of life improvement, you'll at least see that it's there. You can now see if you have 5GE if you have an AT&T device. So why shouldn't you install iOS 12.2 yet? Well, there are a few reasons, and these are pretty standard reasons. There's no gate, there's no specific, oh my God, there's a major problem, don't install this update right now. So don't freak out. These are just reasons why you personally might not want to install this update. Don't install iOS 12.2 if you're not prepared. That means you've done your research, especially if you're using an older iOS device to see how it's running for other people. You've made backups, and you're good to go. Another reason not to update right now is if you're traveling or if you're about to travel. Unless you're going to use one of these features and unless you have a day of buffer time before you travel, don't install this update because more than likely that's when you will have a problem and you're not going to have access to maybe a good internet connection, or you might not be able to quickly restore from a backup, or even visit an Apple store for help if something goes horribly wrong. Another reason not to install is if you're worried about iOS 12.2 problems. A lot of times in the first few days after an update, we'll discover some issues. Personally, on my iPhone XS Max, I can't use Apple News. I'm still trying to figure out what's going on, but I'll open it up, it'll stay there for a second, and then it'll crash. Nothing I've done so far has allowed me to use Apple News or Apple News Plus. It's not a widespread issue, but even if you don't want to use Apple News Plus, this might prevent you from using Apple News. So if you're worried about problems, just hold off for a few days, maybe wait until Friday, and then go ahead and install the update. Finally, and this is for a pretty small subset of people still, if you're jailbroken, don't install the iOS 12.2 update. We haven't seen an iOS jailbreak in quite a while on a recent version, and especially we're not going to see one on day one for iOS 12.2. So hold off, stick with where you're at, because you can't downgrade very far from iOS 12.2. Thanks again for watching. If you found this video useful, please give us a like, that really helps us out, and subscribe for more from Gotta Be Mobile.